A single decision, made quietly on a Tuesday, just forced SpaceX, Nvidia, OpenAI, Samsung, and a Blackstone-backed cloud venture into the exact same chess game, and almost nobody is naming the company that made it. 5 bombshells dropped in 24 hours. One of them triggered all the others. Every rival in the valley is scrambling tonight. SpaceX just filed publicly for what could be the largest IPO in human history. Ticker SPCX on Nasdaq. Target raise, up to $75 billion. Valuation, north of $2 trillion. That blows past Saudi Aramco's $29 billion record from 2019 by a factor of more than 2. And the filing dropped the same afternoon Nvidia reported earnings. 2 of the most watched companies on Earth, hitting the tape inside the same hour. The market has not seen a Wednesday like this in years. Nvidia just printed $81.6 billion in quarterly revenue, up 85% year over year. The data center segment alone hit $75.2 billion, bigger than the entire revenue of most Fortune 50 companies. Analysts expected $79.18 billion. Nvidia walked past them. Then the company guided next quarter as high as $92.8 billion, several billion above the street. The AI build-out is not slowing. It is accelerating into the second half of 2026. Now back up. To understand why this week matters, look at where the money is actually flowing. Big tech is no longer fighting over apps or ads. They are fighting over electricity, chips, and square footage. Server farms now consume more power than mid-sized countries. And every single announcement in the last day connects back to one war: who controls the compute that runs artificial intelligence? Once you see that frame, everything else on this list suddenly clicks into place. OpenAI just made its first move outside the United States. The company committed $234 million to build an applied AI lab in Singapore, its first overseas lab ever. More than 200 engineers, focused on finance, healthcare, education, and public services across Southeast Asia. The deal was signed Wednesday at the ATX Summit Conference. Translation: the race for AI dominance is no longer a Silicon Valley story. It has become a sovereign nation story. Countries are now bidding for AI footprints. But it gets bigger. The same week, Google and Blackstone announced a brand new AI cloud company. Blackstone is putting $5 billion of equity in. Including leverage, the deal is worth roughly $25 billion. The company will run on Google's in-house TPU chips, not on Nvidia. Capacity goal: 500 megawatts online by 2027. That is a direct, surgical strike at CoreWeave, at Nvidia's pricing power, and at Microsoft's Azure dominance. 3 giants targeted with one single press release. And that is not even the strangest part. While the cloud war heated up, Google walked on stage at I/O 2026 and unveiled Gemini 3.5, a new family of models built for what they are calling the agentic era. Translation: AI that does not just answer questions. It clicks buttons. It books flights. It executes. The default model in search is now Gemini 3.5 Flash. 1 billion users get the upgrade automatically. Most of them will not even notice the swap. Then came the glasses. Google and Samsung previewed Android XR smart eyewear, launching this fall. 2 flavors: audio glasses that whisper Gemini into your ear, and display glasses that float live translation across your field of view. The frames are co-designed with Gentle Monster and Warby Parker, fashion brands, not gadget brands. That choice matters. Google is admitting that the last decade of tech failures came from making hardware that looked ridiculous. This time, they want you to actually wear it in public. 5 bombshells. Now watch the ripple. Within hours of SpaceX's filing, every venture investor on Earth was reworking spreadsheets. Why? Because the filing revealed SpaceX lost $4.9 billion last year, on $18 billion in revenue. That is a staggering burn rate, and yet the company is being valued north of $2 trillion. The market is pricing it not as a rocket company, but as the AI and satellite infrastructure backbone of the next decade. That assumption just got stress tested in public. Here is where it gets really interesting. Nvidia's blowout numbers should have sent the chip sector into pure euphoria. Instead, the stock barely moved after hours. Why? Because investors are reading between the lines of the Google-Blackstone deal. If hyperscalers can stand up TPU-based clouds at scale, Nvidia's monopoly cracks. Slowly. Then very quickly. Nvidia is still winning today. But the roadmap to a second source of AI compute just got concrete on a Tuesday afternoon in 2026. Meanwhile, Singapore quietly became one of the most important nodes on the global AI map. 200 engineers sounds small. It is not. Pair OpenAI's lab with Google's earlier Southeast Asia investments, and you have a regulatory sandbox, a talent magnet, and a data corridor sitting between China and the West. Every other Asian capital is now writing checks to play catch-up. Tokyo, Seoul, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur. The next 12 months become a bidding war for AI sovereignty across the entire region. And the consumer impact? Closer than you think. Android XR glasses ship this fall, paired with both iPhones and Android phones. If even 10% of smartphone users adopt them, the way humans interact with information changes overnight. No more pulling out a phone. You glance, you ask, Gemini answers. The screen and tap era, 15 years strong, starts dying right there. Apple has not announced a competing product launching this calendar year. That gap, in this industry, is extremely loud. Wait until you see what happened next. The same week, Tesla reaffirmed it expects fully driverless cars without human monitors across the United States in 2026. SpaceX is filing for the largest IPO ever. Both companies share one CEO. That means a single person is about to control the launch infrastructure for global internet, the rocket fleet for orbit, the autonomous vehicle network on Earth, and a top-tier AI lab all simultaneously. Concentrations of power like this do not happen quietly. Now zoom out. Across all 5 bombshells, one pattern hides in plain sight. Every move is a play for the AI stack: silicon, compute, models, agents, hardware. Whoever owns the deepest layer wins the entire pyramid. Nvidia owns the chips. Google owns the chips and the models. OpenAI owns the model and the user. SpaceX owns the connectivity. The companies sitting on multiple layers are the ones widening the gap. The single-layer players are about to feel violently squeezed. So what does this mean for you, watching tonight? First, expect prices on AI services to drop. Competition between Google TPUs and Nvidia GPUs forces margins lower. Second, expect your phone to feel slower next year because the smart device on your face will start feeling faster. Third, expect a wave of layoffs across middle-tier knowledge work. When agents can book flights, draft emails, and summarize meetings end-to-end, the productivity math shifts violently against incumbents in ways most CEOs are not prepared for. Fourth, and this one is harder to swallow, expect a sovereign AI gold rush. Singapore just moved first. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Nordics are all lining up next. Within 12 months, almost every major country will have inked a deal with at least one frontier AI lab. Geopolitics and machine learning have officially merged. The world map of the 2030s will be drawn in compute clusters, not in pipelines or in shipping lanes anymore. Fifth, watch the IPO calendar very closely. SpaceX is targeting a June 11th pricing and a June 12th Nasdaq debut. If SpaceX opens hot, dozens of private AI unicorns are going to rush their own filings. If it stumbles, the window slams shut until 2027. Either way, this is the bellwether the entire venture capital world has been waiting on for a decade. One ticker. One opening bell. One number that decides the mood for the next year of tech investing globally. Now back to the open loop I promised at the very start. The one single decision that triggered every other move on this list. It was not SpaceX's filing. It was not Nvidia's earnings. It was Google's choice to weaponize its TPU chips through the Blackstone joint venture. The moment Google made that compute commercially available at scale, Nvidia's pricing power got squeezed, OpenAI had to anchor harder overseas, and every cloud rival had to respond fast. One signature unlocked a chain reaction. Here is the bigger lesson. Tech in 2026 is no longer about features. It is about layers of control. The companies winning are vertically integrated from SAN to software. Chips, data centers, models, applications, hardware all owned, all coordinated, all defended. Anyone playing only one layer is now either a supplier or a target. That is the new playbook. And the last 24 hours just made it impossible to ignore for any board, any investor, any CEO on the planet. If you blinked this week, you missed actual history. A $2 trillion IPO. An $80 billion quarter. A sovereign AI deal in Singapore. A cloud joint venture aimed at the most valuable chip company on Earth. A pair of glasses that may end the smartphone era. 5 bombshells, 1 news cycle, all flowing from the same underlying race. The next chapter does not wait. It starts tomorrow at the opening bell, and the bell after that, and the bell after that. So here is the question I want you to answer in the comments. Which of these 5 SpaceX, Nvidia, OpenAI Singapore, Google Blackstone, or Android XR glasses do you think will be the single biggest story when we look back at this week in 5 years? Pick one. Defend it in 2 short sentences. The smartest takes get pinned to the top. Because history is being written this week, and you get to be on the record before the ink dries. Hope you got something out of this. Hit subscribe for more in this lane, and we'll see you in the next one.